Let's do this. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I'm here to do a pretty major book unhaul. I actually did a book unhaul several months ago, and I posted those books over on my Pango bookstore, and I sold quite a bit off that, but I still have I'd say about 15 books left over from that unhaul. So if you're interested in seeing those books, I will try to leave that video listed down below so that way you can go check those out. Those books are still up on my Pango bookstore, but I have so many. I'm going to try to count to see how many books I'm actually unhauling just in this video. So I am actually going to be visiting Gwen sometime next month, and I'm super excited, but like every time I go visit her in November, we always hit up the book exchanges, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy enough books or not, to be honest, because I still have credit from last time I was there, and it's quite a bit. So this should be interesting, to say the least. But I'm excited to just kind of get rid of some of these books. Like this is the top shelf of my bookshelf, and then I've been just storing them up here, and the fact that they are just so cluttered on the very top of my shelf just gives me the ick, and like I just don't like it. So I feel like it's very therapeutic to say goodbye to books, and you know, hopefully other people will enjoy those. So it's like out with the old and in with the new. And just a disclaimer, if you see any of the books on here and like question why I'm getting rid of them, let me just kind of explain. I am taking inspiration from my bestie Jordyn over at Sorry Book Solid. She actually just released a book unhaul as well. I just watched it and loved it, but I loved how she explained in the very beginning why she's, you know, getting rid of books, just so I don't have to explain it on each and every book. And I just love that. So thank you, Jordyn. I'm kind of stealing your startup of the video. I am getting rid of books that either A, I read and just was not very thrilled with my reading experience, don't think I would recommend it to people here in my town that borrow books from me, or books I picked up that, you know, just don't really seem that interesting to me, or I got them super cheap or exchanged them somehow. Another reason is books that were sent to me for free, which either just are not something I'm interested in, or they don't typically line up with what I typically read. So if any of the books that I'm about to show were sent to me as either a gift or as a sort of like video project, just note that I am super thankful and appreciative. It's just I need to make room for more books that I am going to read and save on my bookshelf. Also, I'm contemplating on getting a third bookshelf. It's probably a really bad idea, I know, but like my bookshelves are full. I just cleared out my TBR and there's not enough room, so we'll see. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump in this. I'm going in no particular order. I'm literally just grabbing books as I go. So first book is You Were There Too by Colleen Oakley. I think this was sent to me as like some sort of like blind date with a book exchange in a previous book club. And although it sounds so good and like right up my alley, I have picked this book up several times in hopes I would read it, and I would read a chapter or two and then be like, no, not right now. And I have literally picked this up and put it in the maybe pile every single time I've unhauled it, and somehow I just still don't pick it up. So unfortunately, I'm unhauling it. The next one is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, and I've had this one on like a monthly TBR maybe once or twice, and I just never gravitate towards it. I also am not really a huge fan of the cover, no offense. A lot of these books will sound like something I would normally pick up, however I just never do, and unfortunately I just don't care to keep this on my shelf. This one I picked up because I thought it would be really cute for like New Year's Eve. However, I don't really think it gives New Year's Eve vibes. And so I just kind of like put it off all year, never picked it up. And yeah, it skipped to the end by Molly James. This one just Sounds super cute, kind of has like that little slight magical realism maybe, I don't know, but I never pick it up. Oh, before we continue, I'm not actively going to put these on my Pango bookstore just because I do plan on taking them right off like within a few weeks. But if you are interested in any of these books I'm about to mention, feel free to like DM me on Instagram, and if it's something you're interested in, I can temporarily post it on that Pango for you to go purchase for 24 hours, and that way, and then I can ship it to you. But I'm not listing all these books, but if you're interested, let me know. Here is one that I did read and I really did not like it. It is Widow Falls by Kirsten Monchland. I read this one, I can't remember if I read it during Survive the Night or right before Survive the Night readathon, and I just did not like this one. It seemed very messy. The characters just really didn't make sense to me. So yeah, which I love Kirsten Monchland. It's just her books and my ratings are all over the place. Here's one that I got last time I went and never picked it up. It is The Surgeon by Leslie Wolfe. I don't know, this one just never called to me. It never like fit any type of like prompts for any reading projects. So unfortunately, I'm just going to like unhaul it. Here's one that I also read. It is The New Couple by Allison James. I know this was gifted to me for my birthday. I read this one and it just did not stand out. It seemed like a very average thriller. I believe I gave it 3 stars over on Goodreads, and honestly, I couldn't really even tell you what this book's about. So I read the first chapter and was immediately did not want to continue. So yeah, I also did say at the beginning of the year, if I don't read it by the end of the year, I'm unhauling it. So I tried. The Perfect Ruin by Sharona Williams. I read this one because I heard some pretty good positive things. I felt like it was just okay. Didn't really speak out to me. Having a hard time remembering. I just know like I remember me saying in a video that it was kind of giving like the last Mrs. Parrish vibes. So that's all I really know. This one's gonna be weird. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. The reason why I'm getting rid of this makes me really sad because this is like my actual first copy of this book, but I am in the process of trying to get all of my Harry Potters in hardback and not paperback. And so Gwen, the sweet angel that she is, she found the 3rd copy in hardback, and I believe it's still the 1st edition. So she sent it to me, and so I'm unhauling this copy. If anyone has books 1, 2, 4, and the dust jacket of number 5, you let me know. Here is another Kirsten Monchland. This one I DNF'd. This is if you're reading this. I remember this one had like major ick vibes. I know the woman's husband dies and she goes on this trip with her friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, sounds good. 3 guy friends, and they're all fighting over which bed she should share. Because apparently they go, so it's 4 of them, but there's only 3 bedrooms. And so they're all fighting over which bed they should share with her. And I'm like, absolutely not. All right, I need you to calm down. Flawless by Elsie Silver. I just did not. I tried. I DNF'd it. I was like, am I supposed to hope these 2 people get together? I don't know. It just, I think also with the hype, it just kind of like dampened my experience with this. I don't know. I just didn't really care. I've also been told like this isn't the best one in the series. I've also realized, and this is another reason why I unhaul books, I should probably not pick up books that are in a series unless they can be read as standalones, which you could probably argue that all the other books can be read as standalones, but I don't know. The Woman in the Dark by Vanessa Savage, which this is really painful for me to unhaul because this is actually my current month's Patreon buddy read. And I did not like this book. I gave it 2 stars. I did not like the writing style. I did not like the characters. It felt very dated for something that was supposed to be within like the past, like, I don't know, 10 years. Felt like I just didn't like this at all. This is a classic of TikTok made me do it. I have The 5-Year Lie by Serena Bowen. I've never read anything by this author. I know she typically writes like romance, but this is a domestic thriller. And I remember seeing someone talking about a blind date with a book at a local bookstore. They gave me the clues. I was like, ooh, that sounds really good. So I bought it. I DNF'd it. I'm moving on. Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. This is just an additional copy. Okay, so calm down. This one was sent to me by the publisher, and so I actually think I exchanged it. Yeah, so this is actually, I believe, my original copy. So I just went ahead and swapped them. So this is my original copy, and then, which is still pretty good condition. And then I just put the new one on my shelf just because it's brand new. But this is, I love Abby Jimenez. She is my favorite romance author. And so I just have an extra copy, and yeah, I don't need 2 copies of this one. I'm so thankful. So thank you Forever Publishing for sending me this book. Where Secrets Lie by Eva V. Gibson. I bought this one at my local indie bookstore, and it just sounds really good. However, I have found it impossible to find an audiobook, and I'm sorry, I'm spoiled. I know that doesn't sound like a good reader of me to not read something with my eyes, but for me to read something by an author I've never heard of, or a book I've never heard of with no audio, it just doesn't sound fun. I've tried picking it up for like TBR or readathon challenges and just never completed them, and I'm just not as interested anymore. Temper by Lane Fargo. I have started this one but just never got back to it. Oh, I still have a bookmark in here. Yeah, I just never continued with it. I don't know. This is one that I'm like, I could possibly put it right back on my shelf, but I also feel like I have so many other books I want to get to, so I'm not going to put it back on my bookshelf. So, but if you're looking for a dark academia type vibe, this might be your chance. The Paid Bridesmaid. This is another one that I picked up on a whim. I think the last time I was in Virginia Beach, and I was like, oh, this would be perfect for summer. Never picked it up. So yeah, it sounds very cliche as well, so I'm just not going to try. All right, I do have 2 arcs that were sent to me. I have The Main Character by Jacqueline Goldis. I tried to start this one. I just couldn't get into the writing style, and then I feel like some of my friends who have read this one weren't a fan, so I just never tried real hard. The next one I have, this is one that I actually DNF'd. I did not like the writing style. I'm not one that really pays attention to small things like this, but you can totally tell this was written by a man who's writing about women. And it just gave me the ick. So this is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. All right, 2 books right here. This is like, I believe just 2 books in the series. I'm not sure if there's a 3rd one, but I found this one. I was like, oh my gosh, this book sounds so good and funny. I literally was like, I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read this. And then I found the 2nd book. I was like, I can't wait to read these. These sound so good and funny. Leave me alone. I have feelings. Here's one that I picked up on a whim when I was on my way to Maryland to see Riley Sager. I stopped at this like book fair. It is The Good Part by Sophie Cousins. I reread this one as I was like unhauling it, and I was like, I don't know why I spent money on this one, because it doesn't sound that interesting to me. This might be interesting to other people, but again, I have so many other books I want to get to. So yeah. Here is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. I read the, what was it? The Partner Plot, which I read this one in Vegas. And I enjoyed it, but like not enough to pick up anything else by the author. Does that make sense? Probably not. Actually, should I just, I don't know. I'm keeping this book just because I had such a fun time in Vegas. But like, actually, I'm going to unhaul both of these. Oops. The first time I've ever went to go visit Gwen, I remember reading in the car or listening in the car, The Simple Wild by K.A. Tugger. And I absolutely loved it. So I bought the other 3 books. And again, I don't think I'm ever going to be someone that's like, I have to read the rest of the book series. So I'm going to unhaul Wild at Heart, Running Wild, and Forever Wild. But I'm keeping The Simple Wild because I did love that one and gave it 5 stars. Gwen, if you're watching these, you're more welcome to ask for these back. But I have your 2 Colleen Hoover books. These are super like old. This is like nothing modern. It is Losing Hope and Hopeless. I believe this is the first book. But I don't know. I feel like my reading taste has changed. Like, yes, if Colleen Hoover ever writes another book, will I pick it up and read it? Very, very high possibility. I just know that her older writing, I don't jive with anymore. And so when Gwen gave these to me, I was like, yes, I want to read every Colleen Hoover book. That's not the case anymore. I'm totally fine not reading these. Speaking of another book that Gwen gave me, I have Crocheting for Dummies. I love to crochet, but I just don't do it anymore. So I'm just going to unhaul this one. All right, I think I'm going to just wrap up the paperbacks. This is another one that was sent to me by the publisher. It's Always Be My Duchess. I'm not a huge like historical fiction fan, and so I don't know if I want to read Bridgerton type vibes. I love Bridgerton, the show. However, I just don't know if I want to read that in my book. So all right, here are a few books by authors that I've never really heard of. I've either found them or they were gifted to me. It is Unspeakable Things by Jess Lowry. This one definitely has like 80s vibes, and it's about like little boys going missing, coming back, they start acting weird. I've tried picking it up. I've even tried to make this like a Paw Print Pal like buddy read, and I don't know. I'm just gonna unhaul it. After the Wedding by Laura Elliott. I believe this is like one of those like unheard of, I mean, I hate to sound like that. I believe this is one of those books where it's just like I never heard of it, so I never really like gravitate towards it, but it sounds really good. However, I feel like this is another book like I can get on Kindle Unlimited, which I'm trying to use my Kindle a little bit more. So this is A Day Like This by Kelly McNeil. I know this one is more like mystery with like a slight bit of like, I don't want to say sci-fi, but like a slight bit of sci-fi. I'm so appreciative of it, but I know I'm never going to read this one at least anytime soon. So I'm going to unhaul it for now, and if I want to come back to it, I can always repurchase. All right, the next one is The Institution by Helen Fields. I tried to buddy read this one with Layna, and I believe we both really did not like this one. And I DNF'd it. She continued, and she said I made the right choice. So I don't feel that bad. But I love the fact that we both picked this one up in Vegas, Layna. So it was fun to buddy read. And then the next one I have is The Sweetest Kind of Poison. This is a little short book of poetry by Katie Wismer. She's also a YouTuber on here, so you could definitely go check her out. I believe this was her very first published book. I really enjoyed it, especially at the time when I bought it, but I'm not a big poetry person anymore, so someone else can enjoy this. All right, I'm moving into my hardbacks. You're probably going to notice something, but just note that a lot of these books are out of my comfort zone as far as genres, and I don't typically read fantasy, historical fiction, like lit fic. Like I don't typically read that at all. Sometimes I do try. So let's just move on. First book is I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. I was actually going to do a buddy read with both Jules and Gwen on this one. However, I know they both read it and kind of convinced me not to read it because they both hated the book so much, but we did get to watch some slasher movies together. So I'm going to leave their vlogs down below so you can go check that out, because I just never got around to it and I feel like I'm the worst buddy read person ever. So yeah, and I think no. This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I read this one and I absolutely loved it, but I was also gifted with the paperback, and because Carly Fortune's other book is in paperback, and I feel like that's the trend for her future releases, I wanted to have one that matches. So I definitely love this one. I gave it 5 stars. I did a whole reading vlog on this one. Absolutely loved it. I have 2 copies of The Last Murder at the End of the World. One is the Barnes & Noble like sprayed edges paperback version. The other one is from Aardvark. I bought this one not realizing I was going to be sent this one. So I tried to read this one for my friend Gwen's Night Owl Book Club over on her Patreon, and I never got around to it, I don't think. So I can't remember if I even tried to read this. So unfortunately, I have 2 copies of this. So if you're interested in one of these, let me know which one. Here is the other book that I got from that book fair on my way to Maryland. It is What the Neighbor Saw by Melissa Altman. And I know this one, because it's like in DC, I feel like it has a little bit of like politicalness in it. And especially this year, that's just not my vibe. In the rearview mirror, this one also has political vibes in it because you're following a thriller surrounding someone in politics, and yeah, I'm just not interested anymore. This is book 2 in a series, and I knew that going in. I was kind of hoping I could just like skip the first one because I knew it had terrible reviews on it. But again, I never picked it up. It's also book 2 in a series, so I feel like it's also setting myself up for failure, so no. The Truth According to Ember. This is one that I just had not heard of, and I don't know, I was reading the synopsis and it just didn't sound as interesting to me, so I feel like I would rather have someone else have a copy of this. So yeah. The Guess by B.A. Paris. Bought this one in Vegas. I was so excited, and then I was told by Jordyn that she gave this book 1 star. I understand why. I tried to read it. I absolutely hated it. A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. This is another book where I have it in paperback, and so I would actually rather have it in paperback than hardback, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Haven't read it yet, but I loved the 7-Year Slip, so I'm really excited to eventually get to this one. All right, definitely moving into some books that are not my normal genre choices, so I'm just going to quickly go through these real quick. You have Perfume and Pain, Dreadful, and also The Eyes Are the Best Part, Bury Your Gaze, Catalina, and The Bright Sword. This one is huge-mongous. Huge-mongous. This one, just the cover gave me the creeps, but it is Mistress of Lies. That face will forever haunt me. And then we have this one. I was trying to get to it in the middle of summer, but just never did. But it's Kevin Kwan's Lies and Weddings, Evocation, and The Garden. And then the last 3 is Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes, Lovers and Lies by Amanda Eyre Ward, and I Know What You Did by Katie Wynn. I tried to read this one and I didn't really jive with it. Alright guys, that is my book unhaul. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, if you're interested in any of these books, all you have to do is just send me a DM over on Instagram and we can work out some sort of deal. But I'm very excited to take these with me to Virginia Beach and get them off my bookshelf, and then hopefully bring in some new books as well. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you would like to support me more and have a little bit of a community, I did start a Patreon about a month or so ago, and we are having so much fun. We've had movie watches, we have readathons coming up, we have exclusive reading sprints, early access to my videos. So if you want to join, come on over. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys all in a future video. Bye!
Hello, Ramona. I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the ghost. We stand